she wants to go to clubs without you and you don't want that, and then you're being called controlling, right now, you're about to get dating advice you won't find anywhere else on the internet. We're going to dissect what being controlling actually means. When you're called insecure as a man, what does that even mean? I believe in healthy, loving relationships on eye level. I do not believe in men telling women what to do. But let's take a look at this. If she calls you controlling, I would propose the idea that every single human being on the planet is trying to control other human beings. Women are constantly trying to control men, which they should, through emotions, through affection, through intimacy. Your mom has been trying to control you. You may be trying to control your mom right now by getting her to exercise, by getting her to stop smoking, by getting healthier habits. You're trying to control her. She's trying to control you. Now, is this healthy or unhealthy? I don't think that it's about whether she's controlling or not, whether you are controlling or not. It is about how controlling are we, and do we like how we're being controlled or influenced by our significant, loving other person? So, for example, if she wants to go to nightclubs every weekend and you don't want her, you telling her not to do that, if she really wants to do that, if she then agrees to that, Marsha Rosenberg actually my uncle would call it a foul compromise, and Marsha Rosenberg, founder of Nonviolent Communication, would then say, this one person agreeing to a compromise in a relationship that he or she is not happy with will end up in both people paying for it. If you or she agree to something that the other person expects and you don't truly want to do it, both people will pay for it. I don't believe in women telling men what to do or men telling women what to do if the other person doesn't like being told what to do. So it's not about whether it's control or influence. It's whether you want to do it or not. We are all trying to control each other. But if she's trying to tell you to stop vaping, for example, or stop smoking cigars, or she wants to encourage you to go to the gym, is she being controlling? Yeah, of course she's trying to control your behavior. But what if it's for your best? If you want to keep smoking cigars and she doesn't want you to do that, well, you're not right for one another, unless she's okay with you smoking cigars. You get me? It is not about being controlling or not. Find a woman who doesn't want to go to nightclubs. Now, this is where it gets really interesting and more nuanced, and I hope you're able to digest a little bit of nuance, but if you're in this audience, I assume you are. If she wants to go to a club, or let's say her friends invite her to go to a club, and you don't want that, and she doesn't really want it, it's just something that was suggested to her, and she's actually okay with not going or going to a bar instead because of your suggestion. If she does not have a need to go to clubs and you don't want that, that's amazing. You get the difference. There is a gray zone. There are certain things you and her, are never willing to change because you need it for your happiness. There's certain things you always have to do, certain things you're never going to do, and then there's this gray zone in the middle. Things you are willing to change for her. I don't think you should change anything for her that would make you happy. If it makes her happy to go to bars or clubs and get drunk and consume substances, she's supposed to do that. She needs to do what makes her happy. You don't get to tell her not to do that. That's called an impasse. That's called a lack of compatibility, and you need to walk separate ways. Same with if she doesn't want to go to the gym, but you want her to go to the gym, then you're not right for one another. Now, that being said, let's say society calls you insecure as a man for you not wanting your girlfriend or wife to go to a nightclub. One more time, there is no right or wrong. If you all want to go to nightclubs, amazing. If you don't want to go to nightclubs, amazing. Just find somebody who already wants what you want. Find a woman who doesn't want to go to nightclubs. Don't tell a woman who wants to go to nightclubs that she can't do that. It is not your right to interfere with her freedom of expression. Very important. Okay? Now, if society calls you insecure for her not wanting to go to nightclubs because 50 different men are going to try to make love to her that night, offer themselves. There's alcohol and all kinds of other substances involved. If you're being called insecure, I would argue that we have to look at what that actually means. Insecure that what? Insecure is an incomplete sentence. I'm secure that XYZ event is going to happen, or I'm insecure that XYZ is going to happen. So when they say you're insecure, then you could say, yeah, I am a lot more insecure in the probability that fidelity is going to be sustained over time if she keeps going to nightclubs than if she were to not go to nightclubs. You see that? Or on the other hand, you could say, no, I'm actually very secure. I'm very secure in my understanding that the probability, factually speaking, of infidelity occurring in a nightclub scenario is a lot higher. I'm very secure. Or you go back to mine and say, yeah, I am insecure that infidelity or fidelity, that she will stay loyal. I'm a lot less secure in fidelity if the environment changes. And then they go, yeah, but you should trust me. Okay, let me pull a Jordan Peterson here. Much respect to the man. I absolutely love him. One of the things he does extremely well is he looks at words. Jordan Peterson would now say, you're asking me to trust you. Well, who is you? Who are you? What you are you talking about? You after a meditation session and time in nature, or you on alcohol or other substances? If your brain is on alcohol and other substances, you are neurologically speaking not the same person in that moment. Your personality in that moment is measurably, neurologically, psychologically different. So who are you asking me to trust exactly in that moment? Because you're not the same person. Anybody who says that environment does not have a massive impact on our actions is a fool. You should just trust me blindly. Yeah, but I also understand conditioning and environment. So I just like the idea of having a bit more of an intellectual conversation today. I hope you can appreciate that. Core message, again, let's be very precise with what we're talking about. You're insecure. That what? Everybody has insecurities. Everybody has securities. I'm very secure that it's going to rain in Ireland tomorrow. Weather forecast says it. Rarely has there been rain forecasted and there was sun. It may happen that they forecast sun and there won't be rain, but not the other way around. I'm very secure in that. So when you say I'm insecure that what? Let's define it. Now, if you're getting to the point where you're having a logical argument with a woman, it's fucked already, and you probably shouldn't even be in a relationship with her. If you're arguing about such fundamental things, your values have to be aligned. If you're arguing about nightclubs or drugs or values or religion, you shouldn't be with that person. Find somebody with whom you're naturally aligned with. For now, I've been in a relationship for 6 years. We're engaged. We're never arguing about such fundamental things. It just doesn't happen because our core values are aligned. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't have conflict and that conversations won't occur. Of course, but they shouldn't be around such basic things. So, recap. Insecure that what? Secure that what? I'm actually very secure that XYZ is going to happen. The part about trusting, yeah, who are you trusting? Right? That person or that person? Very different. Controlling, everybody's controlling. It's not whether we're controlling, but how controlling we are. Influencing each other's behavior isn't the problem. But ultimately, it again comes back down to compatibility and freedom of will. And now, very important, to add one on top of it, what if you set a boundary like that? If you set a boundary, and she's invited to go to a club. She doesn't really mind. She's okay going. She's okay not going. If you set a boundary and you say, hey, I'm personally not okay with that because XYZ, you explain your reasoning. Setting a boundary means giving the other person an implied ultimatum. You should never, that's something that I learned from Tony Robbins many years ago. I'm not sure if it was Gunther Schmidt, Tony Robbins, or Marshall Rosenberg. It was one of the three who said, never, ever give the other person an ultimatum because you can never take it back. Never give the other person an ultimatum because you can never take it back. But a boundary is an implied ultimatum, isn't it? Because if you say, I'm not okay with this, it says that you are willing to walk away. It's like a negotiation. You're willing to walk away from the table. You can only have the type of woman you're willing to lose. And the reason you've been in pain, my friend, the reason you've suffered in your previous marriage, in your previous relationships, is because you weren't able to walk away. You did eventually, but how many years did you waste? How many years did you suffer? So set a boundary. And then if you set a boundary, she can accept it or not. If she wants to go to clubs, if she wants to do anything, she can do whatever she wants. But you don't have to be in a relationship with somebody who lives a life that you don't want to live. It becomes so much easier when you're stop trying to convince people, bro. Stop trying to convince women to be with you who don't want to be with you. Stop trying to convince women to live a different life. Find a woman who's already living the life that you want to live, who already has the values. And then you can have negotiations, but they won't be conflictuous. If she'll tell you to stop vaping, yeah, you'll stop vaping. You'll better each other. You'll only ever try to control each other to make each other better because you have each other's well-being in mind. Now, you could make this conversation more complex and say, well, just because you want the best for her, in German we say, gut gemeint ist nicht gut getan, well-intended isn't well for the other person. Just because I have good intentions with what I tell the other person, that doesn't mean that it's ultimately well for that person. Yeah, true, but it's a different discussion because we can only operate from our best ability. And ultimately, it's her responsibility to decide what she wants to do and what she doesn't want to do. Find somebody you're truly, truly compatible with. Stop trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Find a woman who lives the life, who has the character, the values, the personality that you already want her to have. And life is going to be pretty amazing. So don't tell women what to do. Don't let women tell you what you can and cannot do. Find somebody you're truly compatible with, and 95% of the conflicts you could have, you will never have.